Hello, Joe Pine. Welcome to the Doing CX Right show.
Thanks, Stacey. I appreciate being here with you.
Well, you have written some really, I call them famous books, and I want to talk about them. But before we get started, who are you? What do you do for those who maybe don't know you?
Well, I am an author. I have books that you talk about, as well as many articles, and then a speaker and a management advisor. So I go around the world. Normally, I go around the world. It has been nice over the last 3 months or so to get back on the road and doing some international travel last month. But I help executives see the world differently and understand what's going on in the world and what, therefore, they can do about it.
Hmm. Why? How do you spend your livelihood doing this?
Well, there's so many reasons why. Because I have a point of view that has proven to be very effective for companies and being able to create more economic value for their customers, which is what we're all about. I say my purpose in business basically is to understand what's going on in the world of business and then develop frameworks that first prescribe what's happening and then describe what companies can do about it. But I also love seeing the light bulbs go on, seeing that there were people get it, and seeing what ideas they can generate for themselves, and again, in creating economic value for their customers and changing their business as a result.
What is a fun fact that people may not know about you, personally or professionally?
A fun fact is, I'll say, since you mentioned New Jersey earlier, that where you're in, I lived in New Jersey as a youth, first through third grade, and I became a diehard Yankees fan. Moved to California, became a diehard Lakers fan. Moved from there to Minnesota. Hated the move to Minnesota from California. I love California. So I said, I'm not rooting for these stupid Vikings, who's their arch enemy. It was the Green Bay Packers. So because of those moves, I'm a Yankees, Lakers, and Packers fan. My business partner, Jim Gilmore, has more than once accused me of just favoring teams that win a lot. But in fact, it is because of, of my moves around when I was a kid.
That is a fun fact, and I wonder where you will be next. Stay tuned, audience. So let's get into the experience, customer experience, and more. So, first of all, let's start with what does that mean to you, customer experience? Because I get a lot of different definitions.
Well, I'll say something that you may or may not like, Stacy, which is I don't like the term. I don't like the term customer experience, even if it directly came out, but at least heavily influenced by our work on the experience economy that we started in the mid 90s, because what it has come to mean for the most part, by most people, again, not everyone, but by most people, is let's make our interactions with our customers nice and easy and convenient. You could summarize that with one word. The more current word is frictionless. Let's be frictionless. And that's why I don't like the term, because those words are all well and good, but all they'll ever get you is great service. They won't get you a great experience. The nice, easy, convenient are all, and frictionless are all service words. What's crucial to understand in the core thesis of our book, The Experience Economy, is that experiences are an economic offering. And experiences are as distinct from services as services are from goods. So when you do normal CX, when you make things nice, easy, again, all it is a great service. It can be the best service in the world, but nice is nice, but rarely does it rise to the level of memorability. And true distinctive experiences are memorable. It's reaching inside of people, creating that memory within them. When we talk about being easy, often that translates into let's root in things for our employees to make our transactions easy with our customers. But that gets in the way of understanding the inherent uniqueness of every customer, and that you need to be, because experiences are inherently personal, that they exist inside of us as our reaction to the events that are staged in front of us. So the more you customize for that individual, the more you get out of the routine, the more engaging and memorable it's going to be. And then finally, convenience is the antithesis of what we talk about with experiences, because convenience means let's get in and out as quickly as possible. Let's spend as little time with the company as possible. When with true distinctive experiences, it's about people valuing the time they spend with you, that they want to spend more time with you. And that's the key distinction, that if you summarize all the distinctions between services and experiences, it's that services are time well saved, nice, easy, convenient, frictionless. Experiences are time well spent. Again, that
Mm.
people value that time. Now, all of these are built on top of other, experiences are built on top of services, which are built on top of goods, which are made out of commodities. So, as core to that experience, you need frictionless services, right, that lie underneath it. But they, in and of themselves, won't give you that memorability again and that time well spent that is the hallmark of distinctive experiences.
So, when you originally wrote The Experience Economy to now, reflecting back, how has it changed?
Well, the biggest difference, of course, is the rise of digital technology. And when we
Hmm.
first started writing about the experience economy in the late, again, mid to late 1990s, we talked about the internet as something that has two basic effects: that the internet is both commoditizing, in that it allows you to see everybody's prices, and that tends to push you down to the lowest possible prices. Because anything you can digitize, you can customize, though, it allows you to better understand individual customers and better customize to them, which is a great effect. And also, the surf. You think back to the old surfing metaphor of surfing the web. Means that people were having experiences. They were going from site to site and exploring things out there. Those are the, I guess, three I'll call the main effects of the internet. So we originally didn't really take that into account, other than those. And today, of course, it's such a big, big impact in everybody's lives, the smartphones that we have and so forth. The second big thing is we talked about in 1999 when the original book came out. We talked about the nascent experience economy, the emerging, the forthcoming experience economy. And now, when we re-released the book in 2020, we talk about it as it's here, right? Now we're in an experience economy. Experiences have become the predominant economic offering, and that's a big change as well.
You brought up price before, and obviously the digital world allows us to compare. But aren't we also really this movement, the CX movement, is that experience economy? It goes way beyond the dollar sign. So people can really compare on the web, but they can't really compare based on what we're talking about, why people buy. It's a piece of it.
Well, yeah, yes, it's a piece of it, but it tends to be what it depends on how they view your product and your company. If they view it as a commodity, right? If you've been commoditized, and that's the big boogeyman that we put in the book, is that what this shift up, this progression of economic value allows you to do is to decommoditize, to create true differentiation among your customers. But if they truly view you as a commodity, all they care about is price, right? And convenience, you could say, right? Is that they want it at the cheapest possible price, they want it at the greatest possible convenience. Why? So they can spend their hard earned money and their hard earned time on the experiences that they value. So people actually want goods and services to be commoditized. Now, if you're not treated as a commodity, then yes, price is only one of the factors. In fact, price is a measurement of how much value you really create. If you can charge more, charge a premium, so to speak, then you can, and then it's an indicator that you're creating more value for people. We recently wrote an article for Duke Corporate Education's Dialogue magazine, major piece in September that came out called "Competing for Customers' Time," and or competing for customer time. And we introduced in there sort of this new formula, right? Because it's where we talk about services as time well saved, experiences as time well spent. There's also time wasted when you waste your customers' time, which companies do all the time, unfortunately. Then that's sort of a negative value. But basically, what we say in there is that the value you create, and therefore how much money you can charge, is based on the functionality that you provide in your offering, whether it's commodity, goods, service, or experience, right? Whether you're meeting what they're looking for, satisfying their needs, and so forth, plus the net value of time, which can be negative, can be zero, or can be positive. And if
Mm.
you are wasting your customers' time, for example, like going to a hospital and having them give you a form to fill out of information they already know, right? Calling up
Mm.
a contact center and have them put you on hold and ask you for your account number when you get get to an actual human being, right? Exactly. They ask you for your account number again, right? You're wasting their time. Then you actually can charge less. It detracts from the value that you create. If you provide great CX, the nice, easy, convenient, you get time well saved, and that's a zero. Then you're actually getting paid for the functionality you provide, right? Not treated as a commodity. But if you provide time well spent, then you can, in fact, charge more money for that, charge a premium for that. And if you're really good at it, you can charge explicitly for the experience. You can charge for the time your customers spend with you, be an admission fee or a membership fee of some sort. And there are just scores, hundreds of brands now that are able to do that because they create such a wonderful experience that people are willing to pay for that experience.
Mm. So going back to commodity for a second, my head goes to coffee. I mean, we could get coffee pretty much everywhere now. Little restaurants, big restaurants, 7-Elevens, Starbucks, McDonald's. Okay. And you're drinking some. Well, tea. But tea too, coffee tea. Isn't it really, again, even with commodities, that it's not about price? Because I know I don't like paying triple the price for a cup of coffee, but I choose to go where I go to buy it. So even with a commodity, it is about the experience, even when coffee's just coffee.
Well, again, it depends on how you want to treat it as an individual. And even as an individual, sometimes you may want a commodity coffee, sometimes you may want a premium coffee. But it's a great way to think about the illustration of the progression of economic value at the core of the experience economy, because coffee is a true commodity, right? At least coffee beans are, right? The cup of coffee you have is made out of coffee beans, and those beans are a true commodity. They have a future price that you can look up every day. Anything with a future price is a true commodity. And if you convert it from a per pound to a per cup basis, coffee as a commodity is only worth 2, 3, 4 cents per cup. Right? That's what farmers get for it, is 2 to 4 cents per cup of coffee. But if you take those beans and then you grind them, roast them, package them, and put them on a grocery store shelf somewhere, then you can get 5, 10, 15 cents per cup of coffee. Right? That you've created more value because you made it more convenient. You've done some of the work, made it easier for me to make that coffee at home. But if you take those packaged beans and you actually perform the service of brewing them for a customer in a vending machine, a corner diner, a bodega, a kiosk, or a Dunkin' Donuts, 7-Eleven somewhere, now you get 50 cents, dollar, dollar and a half, maybe two per cup of coffee. But if you surround the brewing of that coffee with the ambiance in the theater of a Starbucks or some other experiential coffee place, where part of what you're paying for is the ability to sit down, enjoy, and sip that cup of coffee. Right now, you're paying $3, $4, $5 or more. So there's places now where you can spend $10 or more for a cup of coffee that still only has 2 to 4 cents worth of beans in it. So it does depend on what business the company thinks it in, and it does depend on what you as a consumer want to buy. All right, you can buy the beans. You probably can't get them directly from a farmer, but there may be farmers markets where you can. You can buy the packaged goods in the supermarket and spend a little bit more, or you can buy the commodity cup of coffee in a place like a 7-Eleven somewhere, or a Super America gas station, and pay the lowest price for that if all you want is plain old vanilla coffee and you don't care, right? Or you can pay that premium because of the creation of more of an experience in the brewing and the sipping of that coffee.
Tell me about mass customization. You write a lot about and talk about that as we're talking about coffee and mass production.
Right, right. So mass customization is actually the title of my first book, and it means they efficiently serving customers uniquely. In other words, giving every customer exactly what they want, but doing it at a price they're willing to pay. And it's at the core DNA of this progression of economic value, because how I discovered it is I recognized that mass customizing a good automatically turns it into a service. If you think, for example, about Coca-Cola freestyle machines. I don't know if you've seen these in Five Guys and Wendy's and other places where they don't mass produce, a cup of Coca-Cola or a can of Coca-Cola and give it to you. You get to choose your own Coke that you want. that you can, from a base of Coca-Cola, Diet Coca-Cola or Coke Zero, you can then add in any additives you want, vanilla, cherry, lime, lemon, whatever it might be. You can mix it with a Fanta orange or Barks root beer or Sprite. Even with, you can even mix the caffeine with the decaf. You could mix the Coke Zero with the Coke to change the sweetness and level of caffeination. I mean, and it's basically limitless because you put your cup on there, decide what you want, and press the button. And what I do is, like, I love Coke with lime, so I do Coke with lime, and I press the button. I get up to maybe like 80% full, and then I stop. I go Coke Zero with lime and continue on to the last 20%. So I get 80% of the sweetness, but not 100% of the regular Coke sweetness. And you can do that anywhere along those lines. So it's no longer a finished good that you're buying out of the store. It's the service of putting together all the components that is exactly what you want. And then what I realized is that mass customizing a service in the same way automatically turns it into an experience. If you design a service that is so appropriate for this particular person, exactly the service that they need at this moment in time, then you can't help but make it go wow and turn it into a memorable event, turn it into an experience. Ritz-Carlton Hotels, for example, specializes in that by remembering all of their guest preferences. That whenever they express a preference for anything, they ask them to, or they write it down in a guest preference pad. That night it gets typed up and put in their database. And so every day they're fulfilling the preferences of people presciently without them even having to ask, right? And creating this little mystique about how they go about doing it. So that's the core DNA of the experience economy. And it's why, because again, experiences are inherently personal. Customization helps you get personal with them. And the efficient part of it comes from basically modularity is the primary technique. If you think about modularity, you think about Lego building blocks. What can you build with Lego, Stacy?
Everything.
Right? Everything. Why? Because you have a large number of modules, different sizes, different shapes, different colors, and a simple, elegant linkage system for snapping them together. Right? That's why modularity enables you to efficiently give everybody exactly what they want. Back to the Starbucks example, we talked earlier about how you're not drinking coffee, you're drinking tea. I have a Starbucks cup, but this is a chai tea latte, not a coffee. I don't drink. I talk about coffee all the time. I never drink this stuff, almost never. And but my standard order when I go into Starbucks is a venti non-fat 6 pump no water chai extra hot for Joe. And every one of those is how they customize that drink for me. Because again, they've got all the modules sitting there, and just what do we put into your particular drink? That now it's a big thing on TikTok to buy these drinks that are so customized that cost often 10, 15, $20 with all these different things in them, and then showing them off. Right. There was an article in the Wall Street Journal about that a week or two ago.
So I'm smiling because literally right before this call, I had picked up a sandwich for my son locally. And I walked in, and he and my husband both order from this place, I don't know, every day. But I don't go there. I don't go there. So I walk in and I said, "Hey, I'm here to pick this up for Sherman," is the last name. And he gives me the sandwich, and someone else in the back kitchen yells out, "Oh, bring out some extra buffalo sauce." And he looks at me and he said, "Oh, yeah, right." And I said, "Oh, okay." He's like, "Yeah, he always wants that on the side. We forgot to give it to him." I'm like, "Oh." And he didn't ask. Like, he must have
Right.
forgotten because one other
Right.
person said, "Oh, he didn't ask for it." And the other guy's like, "No, he likes that every time." So that's what you're talking about. It's knowing
Right.
your customer. That's Ritz Carlton. Obviously, they're it's not the local sandwich shop, but it's the same thing. It's really knowing your customer. That's a big wow.
Right, right. And in that case, I would say it's not mass customization because like they don't have a database. That really is dependent on the particular servers that were there at that moment in time. If you had a different group at the time that your husband doesn't normally go, they don't know that, they wouldn't do it. But that's very astute people, very smart people, and that's the way we as individuals in interacting with our customers, whether it's in frontline, like that in retail, even as consultants or working with them, we need to be attuned to that and be able to understand each customer, each client that we have, and respond to them differently because of who they are uniquely.
Yes. You write about the 5 E's. What does that mean? What does that entail? What are some actionable tips?
Well, we have a 4E model and we have a 5E model, but the 5E model is basically a model of dramatic structure. That one of the things you need to have is in any great experiences, you need to have drama. It again that rises up to a climax and comes back down again. It again illustrates the difference between experiences and services. Services are flat. You don't want drama. In fact, again, the word frictionless means zero drama. That's what frictionless means, right? There is no drama whatsoever. It's just boom done. And but with this experience, you want to create a memory, then you've got to rise up to this climax and come back down again, or your experience is going to be very flat, right? Nothing much happens. Drama is friction. It's basically, and so the 5 E's is a way of thinking about your interactions with your customers in a way that creates that drama. And it actually comes from, we got this from a wonderful company in Chicago called the Doblin Group, way back when, and we changed some of the words and ing them to make them more experiential, but it's basically their core model that they've been working with for 20 years, and it's enticing, entering, engaging, exiting, and extending. Right, those are the 5 E's. So enticing is how this is before the actual experience actually starts. How do you entice people to want to become a part of that experience? How do you draw them in? Obviously, marketing and promotion are ways to do that, but recognize that what you're also doing is you're basically acting as the pre-show for the live experience. You're setting up the live experience, and if you prime people in what you do with them before they ever get there, before they ever interact with you, you can actually heighten the level of drama that is there. So it's important to think about how you go about doing that. Then entering, what's the first impression? What's the first thing that happened? It's very important to set the stage for what's going to occur over the rest of the experience. Engaging is the meat of the experience, and obviously all 5 E's have to be engaging total. But this is why people are come. This is what they're looking for, is that primary engagement, the climax of the experience. And then exiting, what happens at Daniel Kahneman's famous rule about peak end rules: put your most money into the peak, the climax of that engaging, and the end, because that's what people remember the most. So what's that last thing that happens that they remember? And then how do you extend that experience through time, right? That's the post show of the experience. That should lead to cementing the memories in their head. It should lead to them telling other people about it so they want to come, and it should lead to right back to enticing, to be able to get them to come again and have that next experience with you. So if you design that at any level of interaction with customers, then you can create that drama and create a great experience and enter into a relationship with them. Understand too that the 5 E's are a fractal, which is they occur at multiple levels through it. The drama rises up and down over each one of those 5 levels. And it can encompass a single interaction. It also can encompass a relationship that you have with a customer over time.
So, can you summarize all that in kindergarten terms?
So I'll try. I've been a long time since I've been in kindergarten. Been a long time since my girls have been in kindergarten. I'm looking
And I
forward
get
to
you. I
yeah,
I get you, by the way, but I know a lot of people are new to CX listening. So I want to make sure
yeah.
that you got the experts and now you're speaking to the novices here.
Right, right. So the basic thing to understand is when you create an experience, don't have a flat one. You want something to happen that engages people, that things get more and more exciting and then come back down again. And for a kindergartner, I'd say, look at any birthday party you go to, right? You anticipate going to that birthday party. Your parents are putting together that little bag of goodies that you may be bringing to share with other people. You're driving there, and the first thing you do when you get to that birthday party is you see the balloons outside and everything. That's the entering part of the experience. And then you get inside and you're engaged with all the games, with that climax of the birthday cake coming out with all the candles lit on it, and the birthday kid gets to blow out those candles, make a wish, and then you got to eat all that cake, right? Then what's the last thing you get? The Eckstein is the goodie bag that you get to take home of things. And then the extending is sitting in that car on that sugar high and recognize, wow, what a great experience that was. And if your parents are on the ball, they make you write a thank you note for being able to come to the party and have that goodie bag. And you get a thank you note from the birthday kid on what you gave them. And you've extended that experience and you can't wait for the next birthday party.
Look, you have your next economy book.
Yeah. Well,
It-
we actually have a birthday party experiences core into in the book as well, something that we always talk about.
Oh, I
Don't know
love
why it
it.
occurred to
That's
me.
great. That's great. Well, final two questions. If I had many CEOs, leaders, entrepreneurs, managers in my room right now, what's the key takeaway? What do you want them to remember?
What I want them to ask themselves is, what business are you really in? Is understand what business you are really in. Are you in the commodities business, the goods business, the service businesses, or the experience business? And recognizing that if you are in the goods or services business, then recognize how commoditized are you. And if you see those forces of commoditization and you want to forestall those forces of commoditization, then you need to rise up and recognize that you're in the experience business. With I'll even just as a little tickler here at the end, this is part of our exiting experiences. We're coming to the end. Is recognize experiences are not it. There's actually one more economic offering. And that's where you use experiences as the raw material to guide people to change, to help them achieve their aspiration. And if you're in a business that is anything close to helping people become healthy, wealthy, or wise, then you're in the transformation business. And that's another option for you.
Whew, that was powerful. All right, now, final question. If you could go back in time and talk to 20-year-old Joe, what do you know now that you might not have known then? What would you tell you?
I would tell my 24-year-old self, you know what? You won't be considered a nerd for the rest of your life. Now, notice I was very careful of my choice of words. I didn't say you won't be a nerd for the rest of your life. I just said you won't always be considered a nerd for the rest of your life.
Maybe being a nerd is cool now.
That's right. There, well, geeks are more cooler than nerds, but yes.
Yes, and anything professionally you would say.
Well, I mean, why I wouldn't want to say anything professionally to my former self. If you look at the old time travel conundrum, I wouldn't want to tell my old self anything differently that cause him to do anything differently to end up to where I wouldn't end up where I am here today with you. This has been perfect.
Mm, mm. So trust the process.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you. I'm so glad to be able to share you with my audience. Where can they find you? I'll add it to the show notes, your links.
You can find me at strategichorizons.com, strategic horizons with an S. You can learn all about me and our various books there, about our speeches, workshops, our specific offerings, such as our Experience Economy Expert Certification course, as well as our on-stage frontline video training offering. All of that's on Strategic Horizons. You can also follow me at Twitter, or you can feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn.
Well, I am sure you're going to get wonderful new followers. And thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, Stacy. It's been a great conversation. Thank you.